Hey there, guys. All right, today we are back with some more of the Great War. We are really closing in on week 200. This is week 188, Ludendorff's Window of Opportunity. Now, before we dive in, make sure you go and check out the links in the description box below. I would love if you join the Discord and follow me over at Twitch. And please do go check out the gaming channel here on YouTube. Oh, a little over halfway to the subscription mark that YouTube monetization policy now has. New monetization policy. Their new how they've changed the rules for the YouTube partner program. Here on this channel, back when I was starting, it was 1,000 subs and I think more watch hours. More you had to do more things. Now, I think essentially all of that has been cut in half. So, just need to hit 500 subscribers on the gaming channel and I can start monetizing that. Because this channel does not pull in like any money anymore. YouTube does not recommend me at all. Even though our statistics per video looking fantastic, they do essentially what I expect them to do, if not better, within the 24 hours that they are uploaded. But then after the 24 hours, YouTube just never recommends them to anyone, which is usually, at least in my experience, not how this channel has typically gone. I usually don't see great success. I don't know why I decided to say it like that. Within the first 24 hours of upload, usually my videos hit like recommended a couple days or even a week, if they're a video that's going to be recommended, like a couple days or a week after initial upload. So I don't know what's going on. December and November have sucked for views. I don't think we're hitting 1 million views in the year of 2023. That'd be a first since I started. Anyways, that's something y'all don't need to hear about that. That was a ramble that I did not intend to go down. But I guess I needed to get it out. Please go check out the gaming channel. I upload old stream VODs and dumb clips to it. Anyways, the Great War week 188. Let's go ahead and dive right in.
For 2 months, Russia and the Central Powers had negotiated peace terms, but territorial demands had been too much for the Russians to accept, and they had left the conference. And now, well, now they are reaping the whirlwind as the German juggernaut advanced all through the east. I'm Indy Nidell. Welcome to the Great War.
Woo.
Last week, the Eastern Front flared to life again. The German army was smashing its way toward Petrograd and Kiev, and the Bolsheviks were desperate. The British advanced in Palestine and the Ottomans in eastern Anatolia, and Henry Wilson became Britain's new chief of staff after Willie Robertson resigned. Here's what followed. German troops continued advancing in the east, entering Reval the 25th. That same day, they reached the outskirts of Narva. On the 27th, they reached Mogilev, and a German plane bombed Petrograd. Bolshevik leader Lenin had by then agreed to resume peace negotiations with the Central Powers, and the Russian delegation arrived in Brest-Litovsk the 28th, but the Germans would not stop their advance. General Max Hoffman said the fighting would stop when a treaty was actually signed. That border wasn't the only one, though, that was being discussed this week. The Transcaucasian Federation finally met beginning February 23rd about establishing a new frontier in the Caucasus. On March the 1st, the Transcaucasian Diet approved conditions for re-establishing the 1914 border and the right of self-determination for the peoples of eastern Anatolia, with the guarantee of autonomy for Armenia under Ottoman sovereignty. The Ottomans would meet the Diet once Russia's peace negotiations were concluded. However, Vahid Pasha's Ottoman forces were advancing in the field, and by the end of February had taken Trabzon and Gümüşhane. Neither the Ottomans nor the rulers of Transcaucasian territories thought themselves at war, though, and the Turks could claim they were just reoccupying their own provinces. The Armenians, however, were confronted with a very special problem: the protection of the Armenian population in the districts which the Turks were in the process of reoccupying. Immediate danger threatened all Armenians living in the regions of Erzurum, Hinis, Van, Malazgirt, and the Eleshkert Plain. These people preferred not to await the coming of the Turkish army and asked to be immediately evacuated across the Transcaucasian border. So a big chunk of the new National Armenian Army was sent to protect them and give them time to move. And that small army was now spread out over a pretty wide region. And another small army, but one that grew every week, was becoming more involved in the action in the field. The American Army.
USA.
February 26th. There was a French raid on German trenches near Reschencourt, and an American soldier who was observing, the chief of staff of the 42nd Division, the Rainbow Division, got carried away by the moment and joined in, helping to capture some Germans. He was awarded the Croix de Guerre and was the first soldier of the American Expeditionary Force to receive one. His name was Colonel Douglas MacArthur. If you're wondering why it was called the Rainbow Division, there had been concern in Washington when recruiting for the war began that some states might take issue with other states as sources for a particular divisional recruiting. So they decided that one whole division would be recruited from surplus units of many different states' National Guards. Then Major MacArthur apparently said that was great and it would stretch across the country like a rainbow. One side note from that front to point out, the Allied papers were all writing about how American aircraft would soon darken the skies with their numbers, but at this point, there was still not a single American manufactured airplane on the Western Front. U.S. President Woodrow Wilson's 14-point speech in January had not had a lot of immediate impact, but it had placed a small wedge between Germany and Austria-Hungary. German Chancellor Georg von Hertling had sort of generally and grudgingly accepted them without making any concessions on specific ones, while Austria's Count Czernin was a lot friendlier. Wilson had followed up this month with a speech condemning Hertling and praising Czernin, and also announcing his 4 principles, which was a very carefully qualified commitment to self-determination.
Each part of final settlement must be based upon essential justice to bring permanent peace. Peoples and provinces not to be bartered about like chattel... Gattles? Supposed to be a G? To establish a balance of powers. Territorial settlements must be for benefit of people concerned and not merely adjustment of rival states' claims. Well-defined national aspirations must be accorded all possible satisfaction. President Wilson.
After a peace, whereby all well-defined national aspirations would be satisfied as far as was possible without creating international conflict. See, that leaves a lot of wiggle and discussion room. This month, well, February, Austrian Emperor Karl actually corresponded directly with Wilson through King Alfonso XIII of neutral Spain, but that dialogue led nowhere. Wilson wanted some clarity on what the empire would offer national groups, and Vienna still would not accept Italy's claims on Austrian territory, nor France's on Germany's. Basically, peace was on offer if the empire would break from Germany. That was not going to happen. It seems that the empire was gambling on the success of Germany's impending Western Front offensive. And German Quartermaster General Erich Ludendorff was proceeding with his plans for that, which involved bringing a lot of troops from the Eastern Front to the West. The transfer of troops numbered more than half the size of the British Expeditionary Force at this point. Germany would have 191 divisions in the West against 178 Allied ones. This gave the Germans numerical superiority there for the first time since 1914. Now, only a small part of the divisions that would attack were actually from other fronts, but they would hold quieter sectors and free up the best troops for the big fight. And anyhow, most of the best German divisions had remained in the West the whole war, and by 1918, some of them had rested in quiet sectors for over a year. For example, 68 German Western Front divisions had not seen action at Passchendaele last fall, as opposed to just 9 British ones. It would be fresh but seasoned troops using Hutier assault tactics and Bruchmüller artillery doctrine that would break the front. Ludendorff was also going to use the commanders that had been the most successful in 1917 for the 3 armies that would go into battle. Otto von Bellow, who had directed the rout of...
It's like, you know, I am no monarchist, right? Y'all know that. But, like, it is hard not to kind of cheer on the Germans for World War I only. Because they're the only ones that are competent in their military leadership. Ludendorff is using the generals, is like, hey, the generals that have been successful in the field of battle, I'm going to use them for my big offensive. The other people aren't doing that. The other nations aren't. Italy's like just starting to do that. No one else is. Like,
of the Italians at Caporetto would command the 17th
you
Army.
kind of want to root for people that are being, baseline strategically competent here. Even though they do fucked up things. Really fucked up things.
Oscar von Hutier, who had refined the infiltration tactics that bore his name, even though he didn't come up with them personally, and worked so well at Riga, would command the 18th. Georg von der Marwitz, now commanding the 2nd Army, had led the German defense and counterattacks at Cambrai. The plans were to eat through the Allied defenses and bring about a war of movement and maneuver by keeping the enemy off balance, continuously pressing the attack and reinforcing success. The artillery would aim for surprise, and the infantry would move forward without relief, no matter the casualties. Now that is in contrast to the British and French, who sent in relief during action. The basic small unit, the Gruppe, would be around 9 riflemen and light machine gunners with an NCO. Specialized teams with flamethrowers and heavier weapons would follow. The newly revised Training Manual for Foot Troops in War said that all soldiers should be accustomed to assault squad methods. Ludendorff did recognize that older men could not suddenly be recast as stormtroops, so he chose roughly a quarter of his infantry to be attack divisions. These were men from ages 25 to 35, and they took priority for food, equipment, and training. Around 56 divisions were pulled out of the line for 3 weeks of intensive training, beginning with traditional drills to restore discipline and some marksmanship, but moving on to quick long-distance marching, fighting while on the move, and storming simulated enemy trenches under live fire. Aircraft numbers were much higher than last year and featured hundreds of Schlachtflugzeug planes, especially for ground attacks, for which the pilots were also trained.
I think I got it. Nailed that name.
Although this army was pretty well set up to break into Allied positions, in terms of mobile warfare to follow that up, it wasn't really much better than it had been in 1914. They had 23,000 trucks, but since they had no access to rubber, these had steel tires, and they chewed up and ruined the roads. By contrast, the Allies had 100,000 rubber-tired vehicles. The Allies also used tanks and armored cars. The Germans lagged way behind there, having built only a few clumsy A-7V models.
So rubber is a problem for the Germans even in World War I, not just World War II. Yikes.
Models or resurrecting captured Allied tanks, but never in large numbers. So there were serious drawbacks, and they had no big advantage in either men or equipment. And so the week ends as March begins. Germans still on the move in Russia, and Russia now desperate to sign pretty much anything to stop it. The Ottomans were still advancing towards the Armenians. Americans were seeing action in the west, and German high command was making plans for the mother of all offensives. Ludendorff was very much planning on winning by qualitative rather than quantitative measures, even with a slight advantage in manpower. The next few weeks could prove the decisive ones of the war. Russia overrun, Italy pacified after Caporetto for the time being, uncertainty in the British High Command, the Americans not even close to being in Europe in numbers enough to make a difference. This was Ludendorff's and Germany's great window of opportunity, and the whole world would be watching. If you want to learn more about the German stormtroops, you can click right here for our special episode about that.
And that was Ludendorff's window of opportunity. The Great War, week 108. Wow, we are really coming in close to week 200, and we will be probably, let's see, hold on. I'm trying to do the quick math here. Summer of 2024 is when we should be done. At the latest? Maybe May or April, maybe? If we keep up pace? I don't know. But yeah, that was the Great War this week, or well, today, because I upload them like twice a week. Whatever. Thank you guys. Thank y'all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe. Words are apparently hard for me now. Thank you for watching. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Peace.